What's up everyone, MeChippy2 here, and I really haven't uploaded in a while. Main reason for this is the state of Go Battle League hasn't been all that good. I'm sure anyone who has played Go Battle League recently will see that, like, one turn bring in, just randomly get your fast move denied. It's kind of annoying, so I did decide to take a pretty long break from it, like 2 months. And so I've come back and I'm hoping to maybe get some more good content out for you guys. So, without further ado, we have a level 50 Bibarel in the Ultra League. Now, the thing about Bibarel that I thought was interesting is that in the Great League, it's just a full-on wall to Feraligatr, as long as the Feraligatr is not on Crunch. So I figured this thing gets to a decent enough combat power where it should still be usable in the Ultra League. So, I decided to sacrifice 500,000 more Stardust, throw it into this Bibarel, and, well, we're going to see what happens. Alright, so into the first battle, and we lead Dragalge into a Talonflame. Very good lead for us, so I'm still going to safe switch for Alligator, just because it's kind of the goal to bait out whatever would counter a water type. And that's not exactly a counter to a water type, but I don't know if Bibarel would want to see a Moltres anyways. Now, we do get the Hydro Cannon bait, which is nice. And now, they're going to go for a move. I do live in Ancient Power, and now I can go for an Ice Beam. I wanted a double Hydro because that would do more damage, but the Sucker Punch that went through KOs, so Ice Beaming is the better idea, just because it's going to get a lot more damage for the one move that I get to use. They're going to Ancient Power my Dragalge, and I'm just going to farm him down. Now they send back in the Talonflame, and I'm going to Aqua Tail it. This is non-stab, it's not the strongest, it's not going to take him out, but we're going to catch onto Bibarel. This is going to be a fly, I think. It is, does about half, because Bibarel, it's like 2060 combat power. It's not going to be that bulky, but that's alright. They send in Typhlosion, and for some reason they no-shield the Surf, and then they just get farmed down on the Talonflame as well. So we're able to take that game. Pretty bad lead in the next battle as we lead Dragalge into Aurorus. Now, we're going to safe switch for Alligator, and the opponent sends out a Poliwrath. Now, seems pretty bad. Feraligatr's fully walled here in terms of charge moves, but you guys know how insanely strong Hydro Cannon is, and with Feraligatr's absurd pacing, we're able to get a shield out of this matchup. Now they Dynamic Punch, which is going to get the KO. And now we're going to send in Dragalge. I'm just going to Aqua Tail here just to KO, because otherwise I think they'd make an Icy Wind. So now if they want to get the Icy Wind, they have to shield. They don't. They send in Aurorus, and I send in Bibarel, and there's a Skeledirge in the back, and yeah, water and normal into a fire and ghost is just absurdly good for the water type. So now, we're just going to still shield because Bibarel is not tanky. They Disarming Voice. Now I'm going to be able to go for a Surf. Now, Bibarel still does hit decently hard for its low combat power. Unfortunately, we're going to have to shield here again because Disarming Voice would deal a lot of damage. Now they send in Aurorus, and I'm going to be able to go for a Surf. Now, Surf will hit decently hard, and they have to Meteor Beam to take me out, so if they Weather Ball, they just lose on the spot. There's the Meteor Beam, and now I just have to hope I'm able to make it to an Aqua Tail, and I should be able to. This is a Weather Ball. It's boosted, but thankfully Dragalge's tanky enough to actually tank that, so we're going to be able to Aqua Tail the Aurorus, take him out, and take that game. Into the next battle, and we lead Dragalge into a Giratina Altered. Now this is a pretty decent matchup. Of course, they're going to have Dragon Claw, which hits for super effective, but we have Dragon Tail, which hits for super effective, and Dragon Tail will add up. Now I'm going to make it to an Outrage. Opponent tries to make a catch on a Drapion, and I do stay in for a bit here, and now I will have to tank an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will not take us out, but those extra Dragon Tails do mean that it's pretty likely I can just hit them with one Hydro Cannon and farm down, or if I want to, I might be able to just make it to 2 and deny their energy. Now I'm going to throw Hydro Cannon into them. This should deal some very nice damage. And now, I'm just going to go for another one. I decide that the HP on my Feraligatr might be a bit more useful here. So, I actually do commit the Hydro Cannon instead of just farming down. But, they commit a shield. Now, I do want switch advantage here, because I don't need Bibarel aligned on the Giratina, because that's an awful matchup. But now, they're going to send in Giratina, and I am going to go for an Ice Beam. Ice Beam, and a combo play with Outrage. Now, Giratina's tanky, but this is a really strong, super effective move. Not even Giratina is going to tank that Outrage. Now, I'm going to be able to go for an Aqua Tail into the Clefable, And Clefable is not going to take too much damage. Aqua Tail does not get same type of attack bonus, and it's not that strong of a move. And this suddenly actually doesn't even look that good anymore, just because Bibarel not going to be tanking Moonblast very well. I do make a very nice catch of the Moonblast after waiting 2 whole turns, and now this game is over. I will be able to go for 1 Surf. That first Surf will get them low enough that a second Surf will just take them out. So, going for the second Surf, it takes them out, and we are able to take that game. Into the next battle, and we lead Dragalge into Alolan Muck. Poison Jab would be ideal, so of course they're on Snarl, and they just throw on 4, well, I overfarm. I want to get up to an Outrage before throwing just to make them maybe think I'm going for it, and I do just decide to actually just fully go for it. Now, Outrage just takes them out. They weren't willing to commit a shield. Now, they send in Feraligatr, and frankly, I think this Hydro Cannon will come pretty close to KOing just because Acid Spray double debuff my defense. And I do think that Dragon Tail might have actually done a bit more damage than an Aqua Tail would have, just because the fact that Dragon Tail's neutral and Aqua Tail is resisted and non-stab. Now, you're going to witness Bibarel completely shutting down a Feraligatr. They go for an Ice Beam or Hydro Cannon, doesn't matter, it's all resisted. Now they have a Sand Slash in the back, and this game's over. All of their fast moves are resisted, and I think they also threw on alignment there, so we just get a full rollout for free. Now I'm going to go for a Surf. Surf does some respectable damage, and now I'm going to go for another one. This will grab a shield, and at this point, I might just let Bibarel go. I do decide to do so. If they go for an Ice Punch, I will actually tank it. They don't, though, and I just send in Feraligatr, and they should realize at this point that the game's over. They might try to play it out, but Drill Run will not KO Feraligatr. So at this point, I am fully content with just letting it go. It is a Drill Run, doesn't even do half, so whatever. At this point, I do decide, just because they're playing it out, I am going to be a bit disrespectful. I shield an Ice Punch bait, but now I'm just going to go for an Ice Beam. This is double resisted, but they're low enough that it'll take them out. So, of course, we take that game. We lead the Dragalge into a Shadow Feraligatr in the next battle, and this is an interesting matchup. It is mostly just a baiting game, because if they go for an Ice Beam and I no-shield it, I might just get destroyed. Thankfully, they do Hydro Cannon bait, and then they safe switch Licky Licky. Now, Licky Licky, not entirely sure what to do here. Outrage, it's like a truck, though. And now, I'm just going to send in Shadow Feraligatr, because Feraligatr is going to be able to take care of this Licky Licky. Now, I am going to farm past the Hydro Cannon just to get some extra energy, because they're probably going to send in their own Feraligatr after this. They do, and now I will be able to go for a Hydro Cannon. This will deal some okay damage, or pull a shield, actually. And now, I think they're just trying to go for a full farm down here. They want energy. And so they commit both shields, but that energy goes nowhere. They then pivot Florges into my Bibarel, but I'm just going to be able to go for a Surf and hopefully catch a Disarming Voice. Now, they're going to be going for the Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice deals a bit too much damage for me to be comfortable with, but I'm just going to catch on a Dragalge. Now, Disarming Voice will not take me out, but it is still a negative energy for them, so they did lose energy, so I'm fine with that. Now, I'm going to go for a Surf. Surf actually takes them out, and now they can send in Shadow Feraligatr, but I have 2 shields to hide behind. There's nothing they can do. We're going to go for both shields, and now we just make it to a Hyper Fang. I could go for a Surf here. Surf would also take them out, but I'm going to go for the Hyper Fang just because it's a bit more safe, and we take the game. We see Clefable on the lead in the next battle. I'm just going to say switch Feraligatr because why not? And they throw on 5. This is only a Swift unless they're running something besides the standard moveset. Game lags a bit, because of course. And now we're going to be going for the Hydro Cannon. They shield up the Hydro Cannon, and at this point, I'm going to start shielding back. This is only a Swift, but I still do want to preserve HP. I farm up to another CMP tie. This Hydro Cannon will hit for some very nice damage, so they do shield it. At this point, I am fully committed to fighting them for Switch now, so I'm going to farm up to 4, CMP tie them. Almost didn't CMP tie them because of the game lagged, and it doesn't take them out. Of course it doesn't. Swift doesn't take me out either, and I actually force a Simul here, because I don't want whatever they bring in to get farm. They send in a Cobalion, and I'm suddenly very glad that I didn't give that thing extra farm, because this is already a narrow matchup as is. I do think that Dragalge just straight up loses it though, because Stone Edge, 2 of them takes me out. And that is not good. Now, I'm going to make a catch of the Stone Edge onto Bibarel, but at this point, it's not looking good, because Bibarel will just go down to a Sacred Sword. They probably could have gotten a full farm down, but they Sacred Sword me, and now I'm going to have to go for an Aqua Tail. I think I CMP-tied them here for a Sacred Sword. Maybe if I had Outraged, it would have taken them out. It probably would have, but then I would have been dry on energy, and who knows what they have in the back. That still hasn't been revealed yet, and I need energy. I'm hoping it's a Dragon type, but it's a Feraligatr. They did get the farm down there. That shouldn't have happened, but even if the Outrage wouldn't have taken him out, so it doesn't matter. Next battle we lead into Empoleon. Not very good, so I'm going to safe switch Feraligatr. And they send in Gallade. Now, Gallade is interesting. Now, frankly, I should have just thrown another Hydro Cannon to force a shield, because if I got a 2-shield advantage here, I would just almost easily be winning, but whatever. I'm going to go get to even shields and leave with some energy. They send in their own Feraligatr, and now Hydro Cannons are going to do some nice damage into it. Now, they throw on the best possible timing, and so Hydro Cannon will take me out. At this point, I have a choice to make. Send in Bibarel or send in Dragalge. I send in Bibarel, just because it's going to be an energy wall. Except if they're running Crunch, which they are, unfortunately. Now, I'm going to be able to get him with a Hyper Fang, take him out, and now they send in Empoleon. Now, I have to decide if this Hyper Fang is worth it, and I didn't think so, but then they Hydro. I'm pretty sure Drill Peck would have KO'd, so unless they're on like Blizzard or something, I really don't know why they went for a Hydro Cannon. So now, I'm going to be going for an Aqua Tail with Dragalge. They probably should shield this, but I'll make it to another Aqua Tail regardless, so I understand them not shielding it. So now, I'm going to shield up the Hydro Cannon, and I'm just going to farm them down, and we are able to take that game. Into the next battle, and we lead Dragalge into Drifblim. I have 2 better responses in the back, so I'm going to safe switch Feraligatr. Opponent then sends in Ampharos, and I'm going to go for a Hydro Cannon. This will hit pretty hard. Unfortunately, it's not Shadow on Shadow, so I can't really put them into a farm down range too easily. Still going to try, but it's not going to be as easy of a farm down as if they were a Shadow. I'm going to go for another Hydro, and the opponent is shielding, so it looks like they're fighting for Switch now. They do throw, which means they can't get a Simul KO anymore, as I just get the Hydro Cannon. And now let's see what they send in. They send in the Drifblim, and I live the Hex. So now we get shield parity with my Ice Beam forcing their shield. And I get to send in Bibarel. Bibarel is a full-on wall to Drifblim, so there's nothing to worry about. They Mystical Fire, which will deal some not very good damage, actually. And it gets the debuff, which is unfortunate. Now they send in Beware, and this is interesting. Payback will not KO me, and if they're on Drain Punch, they need 2 Paybacks to KO, because Drain Punch will never KO me. I'm just going to Outrage them. Outrage might be a bit overkill. I probably could have Aqua Tailed the farm down, but I wanted that KO. Now I'm just going to Aqua Tail the Drifblim. Opponent, at this point, I really wanted to undercharge and just let them KO me so I could get the KO with Bibarel, but unfortunately they don't throw. We still take the game, though. Not that good of a lead in the next battle, who lead in the Shadow Swampert. And then I safe switch Feraligatr, and it's responded to with Abomasnow. Now, this isn't terrible because Ice Beam might even be able to get a shield. And I got my shield, so I don't really care as much about switch advantage anymore. But then they go for a Weather Ball bait. And then they go for another Weather Ball bait. That is very interesting because now I can just Ice Beam them. Ice Beam plus a Shadow Claw KOs. And Feraligatr just got switch advantage and shield advantage against Old Grass type, which is really interesting. We actually get both shields because they then send in Typhlosion. Now we still have the Swampert to deal with, and at this point, I'm going to be honest, I had lost track of their energy. So I do shield a Hydro when I probably didn't need to. And then I shield another Hydro. It's really not going to matter that much though, because this Aqua Tail will put them into a range where one move from Bibarel takes them out. So even if they Earthquake me now, it will take me out, but Bibarel can probably sneak in another rollout before. And then they Hydro Cannon me again. Not entirely sure why they did that, but they've completely thrown the game away. I am going to switch into Bibarel and go for the Hyper Fang, but as you can see from the bottom right, they already conceded, and we take that game. We see Rayquaza on the lead in the next battle, and this, I will just go down a shield and take switch advantage, because I can just tap Dragon Tail all the way through this thing. This shield, as long as they don't get a debuff, it should be a bit more comfortable. and they don't get the debuff, which is nice. Now they send in Ampharos, and I'm just going to go Aqua Tails. I do feel like if they want to get a full farm down, I'll make it to more Aqua Tails, so I'm going to do that. I'm already at 2 more Aqua Tails, so this Aqua Tail should be able to just get the shield, and I barely don't make an Outrage. If I had made an Outrage, that would have taken him out. It doesn't matter as much, though. I can just send in Bibarel to sponge the energy, because 1 Trailblaze won't KO, and I should be able to make it to a move before they farm me down, so they're just going to throw both moves. This should mean they're practically dry on energy. I think they have like 10 energy right now. They're not going to be able to make it to another move before Feraligatr farms them down, and it's Typhlosion in the back. So, goodbye Typhlosion, 1 Hydro Cannon plus a Shadow Claw takes him out, and we take that game. We see a Togekiss in the next battle. Not ideal for Dragalge, even though it does have a better matchup than most dragons, but I'm going to safe switch Feraligatr. Now, they send in Goodra, and I get a shield with a Hydro Cannon, so now I'm just going to Ice Beam. Ice Beam, huge damage. I actually think I can commit a shield now. We'll have even shields, but I can take switch advantage. I get the farm down, and that's very nice. They send in Togekiss, and I actually make a Hydro Cannon. I wasn't expecting that, but it's nice because now I actually get a shield. I actually will willingly send in Dragalge now. This is the matchup I was trying to get out of, but I do have a bit of chip and a bit of shield advantage, so this shouldn't be all that bad anymore. They then make a very nice catch on a Skeleturge, except it's super effective, so it's not a nice catch. Now, I was trying to go for the Surf before they went for a move, but unfortunately, game or me, I don't know what happened. Somehow, extra rollout went through. It's not going to matter all that much, though, because I'll still make it to a Hyper Fang. Hyper Fang will take out Togekiss from this range. So, Hyper Fang, adios Togekiss, and we do take that game. We see a Shadow Swampert on the lead again, and I'm going to immediately send in Feraligatr, and the opponent sends in Cresselia. Now, Shadow Claw hitting for super effective is nice, but the real damage will come from Hydro Cannons mostly. So Hydro Cannon number 1 deals some very nice damage, and we're already on another one before they get to a Grass Knot. This Hydro Cannon actually gets a shield, and I wasn't exactly planning on fighting for switch advantage here, because I'm going to let this go, but I will make it to another Hydro Cannon, so I commit the shield. This, I think I can get them with the Shadow Claws into a range where Hydro Cannon will take them out, and I'm at 2 of them right now. So Hydro Cannon, they actually just let it go, and they get taken out. They then send in Ho-Oh. I should have gone for a Shadow Claw for efficiency, but I didn't. Unfortunate, but whatever. Now, I will send in Bibarel into this Ho-Oh. Rollouts are decimating this thing. Unfortunately, I just have to go down a shield because they went for a Brave Bird, and now they send in Swampert. Now, Surf will deal some nice damage, and I'm really hoping this isn't an Earthquake, and it's not. Now, I will be able to just bank a Surf and then send in Dragalge. I'm really just banking on the fact that they're going to Earthquake me, but they don't. I'm really surprised they haven't, so maybe they're on Sludge Wave or something. But now, I'm just going to outrage the Ho-Oh. I was hoping to take this thing out with Bibarel, but looks like it wasn't meant to be, and we still take the game, but not with Bibarel. Very good lead in the next battle as we see a Shadow Typhlosion. Opponent staying in for some reason, not entirely sure why, and then they pivot into Guzlord. I am straight up outraging this thing, and Guzlord gets wrecked. Just adios. They then send in Feraligatr, and I send in Bibarel. And now Bibarel, after the Guzlord's gone, Bibarel is actually a very good core breaker to the 2 Pokemon they have left. So I'm going to go for Hyper Fang. This will deal some okay damage, and the opponent actually shields it. Now Typhlosion has Thunder Punch, so I am going to save my shield for that, because that will deal more damage than a Hydro Cannon. And the thing about Bibarel, it's a normal type. They're still not Shadow Clawing me down easily, so I make it to another Hyper Fang. This Hyper Fang will get them very low. I'm going to send in Dragalge to sponge energy. So, Hydro Cannon, I send in my own Feraligatr. Turns out they had 2 Hydro Cannons. It's resisted, it's fine. Hydro Cannon, it's just going to get them farmed down. And they have a Shadow Typhlosion into a Feraligatr, and they're down 2 shields. That game was over. Very, very good lead in the next battle, as we see a Tentacruel. Now, this thing, it's hard-walled by Dragalge. Everything's resisted. They're going to Acid Spray and then send in Steelix. Now, this Steelix, I don't think they're on Thunderfang, which is very good, because otherwise I think they could just double shield right through my Feraligatr. but we're going to be able to Hydro Cannon them, and now another Hydro Cannon will take them out. I do expect them to at least try to fight for Switch because they had a terrible matchup, and they do shield. Pretty sure they should be Psychic Fangs here, and they do. And now I'm going to be able to go for another Hydro Cannon. Now, if they want to go down just a shield but take Switch, that's fine with me, but it turns out they don't. They send a Tentacruel back in, and I'm just going to Outrage it again. I feel like a lot of people don't respect Outrage, and this Tentacruel does not either. And now they're going to be able to go for a move here. It's not going to deal too much. Scald doesn't do too much, and it's Druddigon in the back. I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting to see this thing at all, and I basically just lose on the spot because of it. So this game is just basically a loss. I am going to go for a Surf, just hoping that my Dragalge has enough HP to get to a move, but Dragon Tail, so oppressive. They're going to go for a Night Slash. Night Slash doesn't get the boost, thankfully, but Aqua Tail would not take them out, and we do lose that game, unfortunately. We see Skeletor's on the lead in the next battle. Pretty good lead, we have Aqua Tail. And I'm just going to farm up and let them throw first. We'll see what they have. They have Crunch, and of course they get the defense drop. So now I'm going to go for an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will deal some nice damage, so they actually do shield it. Now I'm already at another Aqua Tail, and so the second Aqua Tail also gets the shield. At this point, I kind of want Switch, so I will be fighting for it. And now I am going to actually save an Aqua Tail on Dragalge and send in Feraligatr. Now they crunch me, no debuff thankfully, and then they send in Licky Licky. Now Licky Licky is very bulky, and thankfully Feraligatr still will be able to make it to 2 Hydros, and he should get the Licky Licky very well. Still very bulky Pokemon, but 2 Hydro Cannons is going to deal a lot to almost anything, and so we're going to get them into the red. This should basically just be a range where an Aqua Tail takes them out, so I'm actually going to send in Dragalge, farm up to an Outrage, and then send in my Bibarel. Now I have an Outrage banked, and whatever they have in the back will have to tank an Outrage, but it's Feraligatr in the back. So as long as they're not on Crunch, they just lose. Hyper Fang deals some very nice damage, and now let's see what they have. They go for an Ice Beam, so I guess they're not on Crunch, and they don't understand the Hydro Cannon is significantly more efficient, but whatever. Hyper Fang takes him out, and Skeletor will get farmed down, and we didn't even need that Outrage anyways. Overall, this thing, it feels similar to how my Master League Greninja feels. If you can get it aligned against the right thing, it will destroy it, but if you accidentally get it aligned against the wrong thing, it can still put in some work, but it's not going to be very good. It's very fun if you have it like against a Feraligatr or a Fire type, stuff that's very common in the Ultra League right now. But if I have this thing up against a Giratina or something, it's just gonna lose. So it is something that is very fun for me to run, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things you have to be careful with. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.